Saw a study recently that talked about how canceled sales hit a record in December. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Canceled sales oftentimes are mistakes. And I want to kind of help walk you through some potential pitfalls and reasons why consumers are canceling real estate sales that are mistakes. So let me talk about that. The first red flag of why sales get canceled is because you start taking advice from somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. I cannot tell you how many times people are talking to non-homeowners to get advice about buying real estate, especially like parents. Like, it was interesting. Like not long ago, we had a client who was like, well, my dad says this and my dad says that. It's like, well, what's your dad's real estate experience? Oh, he lives in an apartment. He hasn't owned a home in 20 years. So I want to make sure that if you are getting advice about buying real estate, that you listen to someone that has bought real estate. If you're going to get advice outside of your real estate professional or the mortgage professional, make sure it's somebody that has some experience in the space. It's kind of like the blind leading the blind. It's like people on Instagram and TikTok giving people financial advice when they're broke as a joke. Okay. If you're going to take advice from people, make sure they're a proper professional, make sure they understand, make sure they're successful, make sure they have money, make sure they've bought a house, make sure they've owned real estate. Again, it sounds so obvious, but I can't tell you how often that's not the case. Well, I'm just going to not move forward. My boyfriend, 47 and never owned a home before, thinks it's a bad idea. Get advice from the professionals. Get advice from people that have accomplished that same thing before. Don't get advice from people that have been fear-mongered their whole life and not done certain things and aren't successful and aren't accomplishing things. Get advice from the right professionals. That's tip number one for the people that are canceling deals. The second thing is as we poll people that end up buying the second or third home after they've canceled the first two, a lot of times they end up settling. The first house was the right house. It was the one. They canceled it for some silly reason because they expected a perfect inspection report. And in the last few years, cancellations have surged because consumer sentiment has changed. We've never as a society been more concerned about what other people think. Just look at Instagram or Facebook and hear people talk about how many likes they did or didn't get. Well, an inspection report is the same thing. Consumers have been led to this belief that they can just filter things. They can just change what they look like. They can just do this. They can put a filter over it. Well, you can't put a filter over a home inspection. There's going to be stuff that's found wrong. And a lot of people are too soft to accept it. So they get an inspection report that they think is bad. Then in reality, it's just a normal inspection report for a home that costs $400,000 in Tampa. It's got stuff that you're going to have to do as maintenance. It's not perfect. There's no such thing as a clean inspection report. That's unfortunately the expectation of a lot of consumers. They think they're just going to get this report back and it's going to say A+ on it and sunshine and rainbows and a bunch of little emojis, and they can click a filter button and make it all go away. All right, because that's what society has trained people to do with social media. It's just not reality with buying homes. So you have to separate this attachment to this instant gratification social world with buying a house in the real world. And buying a house in the real world, no matter the price point, it's going to have stuff wrong with it that you're going to have to take care of as a homeowner. Okay. So what ends up happening is they cancel for reasons a lot of the time, not every cancellation. Look, if there's a sinkhole, if there's massive termite damage, if there's massive mold, like there are reasons to cancel a deal. The roof is shot, the AC is shot, the seller won't pay for it. Okay, there's always going to be some deals canceled. But when you see numbers that are hitting record, it's because a lot of consumers are canceling houses for things that are not right. They're bad advice, bad decisions. So we've talked to consumers that have bought the second or third home, and most of the time they don't like it as much as they liked the first one. And guess what? Ends up having the same issues. They just finally spend the money on the multiple inspections, on the multiple appraisals, on the chance that interest rates go up, driving all over creation, spending their Saturday and Sunday, driving all over, spending money on gas. They've gotten tired of it and they give up. And they just end up closing on a home that probably wasn't the best one because the first one, they got bad advice, they couldn't get out of their own way, and it cost them. So a lot of times the cancellations, that's how that happened. The people end up buying other homes and they end up regretting it. Again, be very conscientious. If you're thinking about canceling, a lot of times it's fear. It's your own fear in the way. It's bad advice and it's not logical advice. It's not mathematic advice. So I'll give you an example. We had one recently that wanted to cancel because it was about $1,500 in repairs. And some of it was deferred maintenance. If you become a homeowner, so if this is your first time buying a home, you have to expect that you're going to have to spend some money. You're going to have to make some repairs. You're going to have to deal with some deferred maintenance, but you get the upside. You make those improvements, the home value goes up, right? You get the upside. Most homes, again, unless your budget is unlimited, all right, you're going to have issues. You're going to have stuff on that inspection report that isn't done or needs to be taken care of. And so we had this one where it was a $1,500 in repairs, and the buyer walks on the deal. The buyer goes to the next house, and here's what happens. This is what led to a lot of people in the Great Recession losing everything. And I still remember selling real estate in the Great Recession and dealing with this. Somebody goes under contract on a house, and let's just say it needs $1,500 in repairs. Oh no, I want a clean inspection report. So why don't I raise my budget from $400 to $450? Guess what they find at $450? It needs just as many, if not more, repairs and deferred maintenance. Now they've extended themselves even more, and they still have the same problem. You're going to have inspection issues. You're going to have things that you're going to need to address. What you want to make sure of is the roof isn't shot. When I say shot, I mean like it needs to be replaced now, not 7 years left. Okay. Like I see people being like, oh, we need a new roof because it's going to be gone in 7 years. You ain't going to be in that house in 7 years. Nobody stays in their house 7 years anymore. It's rare. Okay. You're not going to be there. If something is shot right now, not that it may be shot someday. Look, we might get hit with some huge storm. We got no idea. But if it's shot right now, roof, AC, structural, electric, plumbing, if any of those are shot right now, and I mean shot like the whole thing needs blown up and redone, not like it needs a new pipe here or it needs a patch here. So they'll cancel, and then they get to the next home. So then they've wasted money again on an inspection and appraisal. And the same thing happens, and it's a cycle that ends up costing them thousands of dollars when they factor in their time and gas and all these things. And the house really wasn't their first pick. It's the one that they just finally got tired and settled on. Don't get tired and settle on the house that you want. Don't quit. Don't let fear get in the way. Don't take advice from broke people. Like, move forward with the purchase if you can understand that it's logical that the same thing is going to happen on the next house. Get this idea out of your head that you're going to get an inspection report. It's going to have a bunch of cool emojis. It's going to have a little A+ in the corner. It's going to make you feel warm. You know, that you can press a button and you get a filter over and it makes everything go away. That's not real life, okay? Real life is you're buying a house that's going to have some stuff you're going to have to do, but you get the upside, you get the appreciation, you get the write-offs, okay? That's the biggest issue. And I think, again, when the market corrects and it's a little tougher in the market, and you've had a lot of real estate agents get into the business that don't have any business in the business, and don't know how to handle these obstacles, deals get canceled because they're not strong enough to tell their client they're making a mistake, that the second or third home isn't going to be as good as this one, and that they're going to end up paying more and wasting more time. So way too many deals get canceled for silly stuff. Way too many. So if that's you, if you're in that position or you get in that position, really take a deep breath. Maybe seek some people outside of your circle of broke friends for advice about moving forward with the purchase. And I understand, look, if you don't trust your agent or the mortgage lender because you think they're biased, go find someone else that's experienced to give you advice. Go find someone else that's been through it that knows that, you know what, that's pretty nominal stuff. Like, you're going to have that on any house in that price range. Get out of listening to people that don't have experience on it. Everyone today has a microphone. Everyone can be on social media and act like an expert, but there's a lot of them that aren't. And there's a lot of times people get bad advice and make financial decisions from taking advice from broke people that don't have any business giving them financial advice. So hopefully that helps. But again, try and work through the stuff. One other thing that I would say about canceled deals that I think is really important that can help prevent it. I think a lot of buyers want the sellers to make repairs. And I think that in a lot of situations is a bad idea. Unless it has to be cured to make the insurance or lender pass the deal, check mark the deal, and move forward, I would ask for monetary compensation and you to address fixing it. Here's why. Because the seller is going to look for the cheapest way out. They don't have to live with that house after they sell it to you. They're going to look to cut a corner. They're going to look to find the cheapest guy, and they may not do it to the standards that you want. I would rather take the financial discount, credit, whatever you want to call it, and then get it done myself to make sure it's done the right way, the way that I want it done. The other thing is when the seller does it out of their pocket, more obstacles pursuing it if it's not done right, or if there's a warranty issue or the repair fails. If you do it, you have a much easier chance to work that out with the contractor because you paid them. You're the person on the invoice. When someone else is the person on the invoice, makes it a lot harder to work with that contractor because you're not their client technically. So I'm a big believer in solving inspection items financially versus solving them by having sellers make repairs. And again, when it can be. There are times where the repair is so substantial that the current seller has to do it. In lieu of it needing to be done for insurance or lending standards, I am a big fan on getting a credit and then the buyer just having to address it post-closing. And there are some carriers and lenders that'll even allow you to do that. They'll allow you to take the credit and then they just need proof that you do the work, even on some of the things that cause red flags with insurance and lending. So hopefully these tips are helpful to help you understand how to avoid cancellations. If you're a home seller and you want an experienced agent to help navigate through this, to help navigate through fighting back against these cancellations, if your house has been on the market and you've had a lot of cancellations, we'd love to apply for the job. Again, you can do that on any of our social channels at The Duncan Duo, or you can hit us up at duncanduo.com, where we would gladly look at the situation, help give you the right advice to decide whether or not you need to fix those things, if they've been an ongoing thing, whether you can, or whether the price needs to be adjusted, or whether it's just poor negotiation on the agent's part, which is unfortunately common.